All right, so we're looking at section 1.3, which is adding and subtracting whole numbers. It's nothing new, okay? We just want to make sure we feel comfortable doing it because it's been, I mean, does anybody really just do it without their calculator anymore? I mean, I do. I bust out myself on myself and just kind of add real quick. So we want to make sure we feel confident. So even though this has 4 digits and this has 3 digits, you want to line them up from right to left. So I usually put the bigger number on top, even if it's not given to me that way. Is that okay? And you just add it up. The whole idea of place value is that it can only hold up to 10 numbers, so 0 through 9. So the second you get past 10, you put the 1s there and you carry some of your 10s over and so forth, right? So what do we have? 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 4. Does that look okay? If you want to put a comma there, you can. It's something where, like, sometimes when it's just thousands, they don't seem to worry about the comma as much. I always like to put the comma there. So in my math lab, I would probably type 4, 387. Is that all right? And you hit enter there. What else was I? There's something else I was going to say about this. I don't remember. Oh, maybe it'll come back to me. So again, looking at these two numbers, this has 6 digits, this has 5. So I'm going to put 135,898 on top plus 47,364. Is that okay? Do you have to put the larger number on top? No. But when it comes to subtraction, you do. So it's kind of nice to kind of just get in that habit. All right. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you are a finger math person, that is fine. Like, don't hide it. I know some people are like, under the table, you know. But however you need to do it, that's fine, guys. Okay, so if you're just like, I never understood it. My sister always did. She's like 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, she's counting with her fingers. If you need to do that, please feel free, okay? So what do you guys get? 8 plus 4 is 12. So obviously 12 can't fit, so we'll have the 2 1s stay, but we'll carry one set of 10s over. And that's what the whole idea of carrying is. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 6 is 16. So we're going to put a 6 there and carry our 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 3 is 12. We're going to put our 2. Are we just carrying all over the place? 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 7 is 13. Is that all right? Carry your 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8 for once we're not going to carry. And then remember, there's just kind of like a 0 there, so that will just be 1. Okay? Count from the right, 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. 183,262. And notice I didn't say and, right? Okay. Are there any questions there? All right. So additional property of 0, all of these are important, but it's stuff you know. If you add 0 to any number, what is the sum? That number, right? And so some vocab words, sum means the answer of an addition problem. I'll write that down. The sum is the answer of an addition problem. So sometimes my math lab might be mean and give you 2 numbers and they say find the sum. You need to know what operation are you going to be doing. So that's kind of what it's important to know that. Commutative property. The root word in commutative is commute. What does commute mean? To go somewhere. So the commutative property just means changing the order of 2 addends does not change their sum. So basically, if you have 2 numbers and you're adding them, you can flip-flop which one comes first or which one comes last, and it's going to be the same number. What's 2 plus 3? What's 3 plus 2? 5. And that's all it's saying, okay? So order doesn't matter is what that's saying. All right, last but not least, associative property. The root word means associate, who you hang out with, who you are grouped with. The associative property of addition means changing the grouping of addends does not change their sum. So let's write an example of this, right? If we have 1 plus 2 plus 3, and we have 1 and 2 grouped together, that's the same thing as 1 plus 2 plus 3, but 2 and 3 can be added together. Does it matter which group you add first? No. What's 1 plus 2? 3. What's 3 plus 3? 6. Over here, we've got to do this first because it's parentheses. What's 2 plus 3? 5. But what's 5 plus 1? 6. So basically, it just means it doesn't matter which ones you jump to first. It's going to be the same answer there. Do you guys need an example of that up here, or do you get the commutative one? Do you need 1 plus 2 equals 2 plus 1 is what that means, okay? I do it with actual numbers. If you read the book, they use variables, right? They use like A plus B equals B plus A. It's the same idea. All right, example 3. I'm always interested on 3 and 4. How do you guys begin to do this?
I do 12 and 4.
Okay, so you do like 2 at a time, add 1, 2 at a time, add 1. That's how I do it. Is anybody the brave soul that lines them all up and tries to do all that at one time? Okay? So that's what I want to show you guys. There's not only one way to do stuff, okay? A lot of times the way you're doing it is the correct way. So if you're someone that lines them all up, line those suckers all up. But just realize you're going to get a larger number that you're going to have to put down and carry. I'm someone that just kind of does a couple at a time. So 12 plus 4, right? What's that get you? 16. Now I'm going to add the 8 over. 6 plus 8 is 14, and again, if you need to use your fingers or whatever, you can. So put a 4, carry 1, you get 24. And then I'm going to add my 6 over. I love groups of 10. Like, they make me excited. Is that weird? So 6 plus 4 is that perfect 10. Carry it, you get 30. And what's the last thing we need to do? And you get 35. Those that do the same, did you get 35 when you did it the other way? Okay? So it doesn't matter. Again, just know that you can do it. Or is anybody, this is probably the really smart way to do it, do 12 plus 4 and 8 plus 6, add those together, and then add 5. That's fine as well, okay? So we're using all those properties of grouping, associative, all that kind of stuff. Here, this is the same thing. Christy, are you still brave in lining all those up at once? Okay? But it's the same thing, okay? So those that have already done it, let's see what's going on. We got 6432. And I'm going to add up 789 with it first. Move right to left, right? Carry when you need to. Once you get that answer, let's make sure it's the same one I got, but then we just add 54 to it. All right, so 2 plus 9 is 11. I'm going to carry my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. Is that what you guys get a 2 there? And I know I'm doing it kind of quickly, but it's one of those things that even if you can't do it as quickly as me now, you know how to do it. Does that make sense? So I don't want to be like too slow because I want to get through it. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 7 is another 12. Carry your 1. Do you guys get 7? Is that right? 221? Okay. So I'm going to take that and add 54 to it because I haven't added 54 to it yet. 1 plus 4 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. Carry the 2, carry the 7. Does that look okay? If you're doing it on this piece of paper, yay, you have room. I'm actually going to carry him up here so I don't run out of room. So my sum was 7,275, but I still need to add 28 to it. 5 plus 8 is 13. 1 plus 7 is 8 plus 2 is 10. So I'm going to carry my 1. 3 and then 7. Does that look right, guys? 7,303. Okay. So I guess I could be boxing these. I don't know if you need them boxed in, highlighted, circled. These are all the different sums. But I just want to let you know, you guys know how to do it. And if you have one way that works better than the way I'm showing, feel free to use that way. Key thing, though, what are we not allowed to use? Calculators. And again, it's one of those things as it's like a crutch, and you're like, I'm just going to do it real quick just to get my homework done. I know how to do this. The second you start doing it, you're relying on it, and you're not practicing your old math skills, and it will affect you. Even though you think you might be able to do stuff, you might forget. And so it's good to practice that homework without that calculator. Okay. Any questions on adding? I didn't think so. All right, subtracting is the same idea, but instead of pulling together, we're taking stuff away. And so instead of carrying over, we're going to have to borrow, okay? It's that whole idea of we don't have enough, so we need to take from the 10s. So 14 minus 6, that one, you can line it up, but it doesn't really help you to line, vertically line. Because you can do 14 minus 6 like this. And you're like, okay, I can't do 4 minus 6, I borrowed the 1, but that's the same thing as 14 minus 6, right? So it doesn't really make a difference. So this is one where you just have to know how far apart they are, use your fingers. 8, is that all right? Yeah, I did 14 and take 6 away, kind of just on your fingers, 13, 12. All right, 20 minus 8 we can actually borrow. So I'm going to line that one up. I say I cannot take 8 away from 0, but if I take 1 10 away from the 2, there's only 1 10 there, and now I have a 10 up there. Did borrowing ever make sense to you guys? Do you realize what you're doing? Like, your teacher have like those base 10 blocks? Good, okay, because that's some things where people are like, I just mimic it. I don't know why I'm doing it. But it's the whole idea of like change. If you have a 20, you need ones or fives. You need something smaller to deal with. And that's what we're doing. We're like, hey, we don't have any ones. Let me borrow 10 of your ones and pull them over. All right? So 10 minus 8 is 2. 1 minus nothing is 12. Or 1, and then 12 is our answer. This one, what about 93 minus 93?
0.
Woohoo! I love it, right? Not too bad. And then what about 42 minus 0? We like math with 0, right? Multiplying by 0 is good. Adding, the only thing that's kind of iffy is that division by 0. It gets a little tricky. All right, so let's look at this one. It says the subtraction properties of 0. The difference of any number and that same number is 0. So basically, if you have a number and you take away that same number, you had a $20 bill, you spent all of your $20, how much money do you have? Nothing, right? Or if you have a number and you take away 0, guess what you still have? That number. Key word here is the difference. That is your answer for a subtraction problem. Again, why am I stressing that? Because my math lab will be mean. They won't set up the problem for you, and they'll just say, hey, find the difference between 18 and 2. You need to know it's 18 minus 2. And when they do difference, guys, that first number is always going to be first. So if they say find the difference between 18 and 2, they mean put the 18 first and subtract 2 from it. All right. And we don't have to do all of these, guys. We can just kind of pick and choose. All right. The key thing when we go to subtract is that you can check. And is anybody a super checker? Like OCD, you want to make sure they're doing it right? Addition and subtraction are opposite operations. So when you do one, you can do the other to check that you got it right. So let's do these first two for sure, and then we can kind of piddle around with the other three, okay? So 9,143 minus 122. Kind of nice. We didn't really have to borrow anything, right? 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0, and then 9 minus nothing. So did you guys get 9,021? I'm going to show you this one time. I'm not going to use class time all the time. How do you check? You take your difference and you add back that number you took away, and it should result to the starting number, right? So here's our check over here. 9021 plus 122 should give us what? 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay. Would you be doing that every time? No, especially on homework, since my math lab lets you have immediate feedback. I wouldn't do that. On a test, you're going to have plenty of room and plenty of time. So if you take your test and get done, and you want to go back and check your subtraction problems, I recommend it. All right? I'm not going to worry about B because it's basically the same thing. There's no borrowing. Are you guys okay with me kind of jumping around? You're like, yes, lady, we've seen this forever, right? Let's do, I'm trying to see which one I want. Let's do A for sure. So 697 minus 49. Can we take 9 away from 7? No. So 7 says, I do not have enough ones. Hey, 9, let me take some of your 10s. And so 9 says, okay, here, take a group of my 10s, but I'm going to go to an 8, and you're now going to be a 17 because I took a group of 10s. What's 17 minus 9? 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then 6, so 648. How could we check that if we wanted? We could take 648, add 49 back to it, and make sure we get 697. Is that okay? And again, I know I'm going quick, but it's one of those things where I trust that you guys can do it. You might need a little bit more time, but that's all right. Can I jump down to A and B? Is that all right? Okay. This B is similar where you're going to have to borrow. This one you don't have to borrow until the very end, all right? So let's look here. Why is this important? Because we have to borrow, but it gets awkward when you have a bunch of zeros and you have to go like hunting for a 10 to borrow. So we have 400 minus 164, and this is when it gets tricky, okay? Can you take 4 away from 0? No. So 0 goes to his friend, the 10 spot. But look, we have no 10s, right? And so guess who we have to go to? The 100 spots. And so we're like, hey, 100, can we borrow one of your hundreds? Sure. I'm just 300, and you can have one of mine, so you have 10 tens. What's 10 tens? 100, right? So we took $100 bill and split it into 10 tens, right? Well, why does that help us? Because now who can he borrow from? This 10, okay? So this 10's like, oh, I had 10 tens, but now you're taking away one of them. So now he only has 9, but he is 10, okay? When you borrow with a bunch of zeros, no matter how many zeros you have, the first number will reduce by 1, so the 4 went to 3, and all the zeros will be 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, until the very last number will be a 10, because you have to borrow all of them, all right? So 10 minus 4 is 6, 9 minus 6 is 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Is that okay? So 236, add it back to 164, you'll get 400. So this is what I was talking about, 1,000 minus 762, guys. Reduce this guy by 1, he'll be a 9, he'll be a 9, he'll be a 10. Because we had to borrow some hundreds, we had to borrow some tens. So 10 minus 2 will be 8, 9 minus 6 will be 3, 9 minus 7 will be 2, 238. Any issues? All right, why do we need to know how to do all this? Because in real life, there's applications of it. Perimeter is a geometric term. Have you guys talked about perimeter before in your previous math classes? It usually goes with area, perimeter and area. Perimeter is the outside of any object. So like if you're going to fence in your yard, you need to know the perimeter of your yard to know how much fencing to get. Sometimes we decorate with like string lights, like on our porch or something like that. You need to know the perimeter of your porch to know how many yards of string lights to get and so forth. So what's nice about perimeter is that there's not really a formula you have to memorize. It just add up all your sides, okay? So it is the distance around, okay? So the sum of all the lengths, and it does not matter what shape it is, as long as they're labeling everything for you, you can find perimeter. So this is, does anybody know what shape that is? It's not really anything. It really isn't. It almost looks like a trapezoid. Do you remember what it's called if it has 4 sides? Quadrilateral. Yep, so it's a quadrilateral. We're just going to make sure we have 4 numbers that we add up since there's 4 sides, and we do. Does it matter how you line them up? No, but I'm the weirdo that always just picks the bigger number first. I do. And so you can do 15 plus 8. Do those first if you want. So 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry 1, you got 23. Let's add a 2 to it. So you get 25. And add a 5 to it. Oopsie, I'm putting the answer down, guys. I'm getting excited. Is 30. If you wanted to just do this, I'll put a big or. You could have done 15, 8, 2, 5, like that. And that's not horrible when they're smaller numbers. What do we have to make sure we always do, though, when we're doing word problems? I think I heard it. 30 what? Centimeters, right? So whenever we have word problems, we need to know what, so centimeters, maybe this is like a yard for ants or something. Okay? So 30 centimeters is going to be the perimeter for that shape. Example 10, a park is in the shape of a triangle. Each of the park's 3 sides is 647. Find the perimeter of the park and begin by drawing the shape of the park. Well, what shape are we drawing? A triangle. But what kind of triangle is it if every side is the same? Do you remember what that's called? Equilateral, right? So we're just going to draw a triangle that's, to the best of our ability, that's all the same shape, all the same length, something like that maybe. And we're going to label each of them. 647 feet, 647 feet, 647 feet. All right? How do you do perimeter, guys? What do we need to do? I'll add it all up. And I'm not going to have us do it. I just wanted to kind of set it up. Is that okay? And when we get our answer, what's it going to be as a unit? Feet. Is that okay if I skip it, though? Because I know you can add, but I want to make sure you can do the word problem of it. If there's any point where you want me to do it, please raise your hand, okay? All right, what else do we have going on? We have just this little real-world problems. It says the radius of Uranus is 15,759 miles. The radius of Neptune is 458 miles less than that. What is the radius of Neptune? So this is a word problem where they don't tell you what math to do, but my key word is whenever you're comparing, you're always going to do what operation? Subtraction. If I want to say, how much taller am I than Mia? What would you do? You would take my height and subtract hers, right? So anytime you're going to do comparing, it's always going to be subtraction. So that we're comparing. So that equals subtraction. Who goes, what number is on the top? The bigger one, right? So we're going to take 15,759, and we're going to find out what 458 less than that is. And this one's not too bad to do real quick. Is that okay if I do it? 9 minus 8 is 1. 5 minus 5 is 0. 7 minus 4 is 3. And then the 15 can stay the 15. So radius of Neptune is 15,301 what? Miles. You got it. Whenever you're comparing, you're always going to subtract. Whenever you're totaling, you're always going to do what? Like, how much did you spend total at the store? Add it all up. All right? Last one. As years pass, the number of endangered species per country increases. In the graph, each bar represents a country, and the height of each bar represents the number of endangered species identified in that country. And it was kind of hard to read, so I tried to label them on there so you could see it. A, which country shown has the fewest endangered species? Fewest means what? The least. So we're going to go down here. Can you read what that says? What country is that? Australia, right? Fewest means smallest, least, right? And notice it didn't say how many, it just says which country, okay? So we're just labeling the country. Find the total number of endangered species for Brazil, India, and Mexico. This is what I was talking about. What's total mean? Add. You got it, guys. So we're going to steal Brazil, and this is what I was talking about. You can hardly even read it. Brazil, 73. Plus India is 89. I'm going to do that sum first. 3 plus 9 is 12. Carry my 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is 16, okay? So I have 162 between those two, but I still need to add Mexico, which is that 72? Is everybody reading that okay? So we're going to do...
I thought it said 73.
Brazil was 73. So Brazil 73, India's 89, and then Mexico. Okay, I think those are the numbers, right? So 2 plus 2 is 4. 6 plus 7 is 13, is that right? So 234, am I doing that right, guys?
I thought the middle one was 83.
Yeah, but we don't care about, what is it? China.
Okay.
Is that okay? So we're going off of these. So Brazil was 73. India was 89. And then Mexico was 72. Is that okay? So they will give you excess information. I'm not done, though. Why am I not done? 234 what? Endangered species. We need that label. And believe me, like I said, I'm going to get that little slap on your wrist when I'm grading the worksheet. Like, 234 what? Okay, is that, do we have anything on the back? Whoa, I got excited about that. Are there any questions on 1.3 and adding and subtracting? Like I said, this first chapter, guys, I have full confidence in you. It's nothing really that new. Are you okay with it? Typically, what I'm going to do, I was thinking about double lecturing, but I think I am going to do lecture, a little bit of time to the worksheet lecture. But today, since we're kind of short on time, is that okay if I just go straight to the next lecture? Okay, so let me stop this recording.